talking about. Does not. Oh, there he goes. He bends it back. Should not be a problem now. They're just waiting for the fuel. 13.8 seconds. Whoa, he lights him up, gets sideways. He's on the way.
The pace car parked right on the exit of the pit lane just ahead of Rahal. He really pitched it as he came around. You saw how much, not only did he light the tires, but had to pitch the back end as he comes back into the fight. Of course, that gives Michael Andretti the lead. It was almost as if Rahal was making a statement. Yet, man, it's not over yet.
Remember what happened at Elkhart. Michael was not the faster car on the racetrack, but he always got the lead in the pits. Rahal led, came into the pits. Now we got to watch what happens in Michael's pit stop.
And of course, if you make this consideration that the racing laps here are running 21, 22, 23 seconds at most, and the pit stop takes 12, 13 actually stop. Roll in, roll out. Now you get an idea of how critical the performance of the pit crews are in this. You saw Michael Andretti's crew laying out, expecting him at any time, and now on the entrance to the road on the backside of the course, they use the warm-up lane to get down to the pits. Here is Michael Andretti as the leader of the race, and Gary Gerould is waiting for him.
Team manager Ed Nathman waves the sign frantically. Michael comes in, precisely hits the marks. No hint of a lockup or a skid, and it's so critical to be right on target. We see the rubber change as expected. Fueling hose is intact. There is a slight adjustment, a half turn on the front wing, a little more than that on the right front side now for Michael Andretti. He's off the jack. 14.8 seconds.
Mario Andretti stopped at the same time. Bobby Rahal flashes across the line as he comes onto the first turn into the second. Michael Andretti is on the pit road accelerating. Where will the two come out? There they are together, and Bobby Rahal reassumes the lead, and Michael Andretti pulls out right behind him. So with the stops, the positions 1 and 2 remain the same. Rahal was just able to pass him before the stop, maybe picked up a little bit of advantage in the stop, and Rahal keeps the lead.
Half a second or 1 second, which is a small amount of time, would have made a huge difference there for Michael Andretti. But Rahal keeps the lead.
Mario Andretti makes a stop at the same time. Michael Andretti continues his pursuit of Bobby Rahal as the fight for the championship continues at Pennsylvania International Raceway. And there is Michael. Now, when we talk about the lead here, I guess it is proper that we should point out for just a split second there, Arie Luyendyk, by staying out, was able to get the lead in scoring. So when the charts come out in the box score, he certainly will show up in the fight. Now, here the fight continues. This time, Rahal is up behind his teammate, Al Unser Jr., trying to work his way past. Jan Vigas as Emerson Fittipaldi makes a stop.
Emerson Fittipaldi is now getting underway. They were able to make a front wing change. He pulled a little closer than they wanted to up to the end of the pit wall. It's a little difficult to change the tires. Took a little longer than he anticipated.
So here comes Fittipaldi back into the fight. Went into the pits in 6th place.
Paul, see how long that pit lane is on the way in and the way out. That's what takes such a long, long time. And you mentioned it earlier on these pit stops. It's not just that 12 or 14 seconds that you're stopped in your pit box.
Well, and it's a pit lane like no other here at Nazareth. You actually enter the pit lane over on what is the backstretch, work 2 turns on the pit lane, make your pit stop on what is an angular pit, and when you accelerate out, you don't actually join the race until the backstretch again. Now let's take a look. This was the battle for the lead.
Now Michael tries to go outside Tony B, realizes that there is no room, backs out of it, and immediately, bang, Rahal slams down the inside, closes the door, takes the line away from him, and it's all over. We had great in-car camera shots of exactly how it happened. Now looking from Rahal's car, look at Michael. He goes on the high side. Tony B closes the door because he doesn't realize that Michael's going to go around the outside, and in an instant, and things happen so fast here, Rahal takes the lead and then has a nice casual look in his mirror.
Here is Michael's view of the same situation as he tried to work high outside Tony Bettenhausen, who went right down the middle of the course, apparently seeing Rahal coming up on the inside. By the time Michael was able to react to it, well,
you saw the reaction right there, Paul.
Exactly. Not real happy with that middle of the road line from Tony Bettenhausen. So the fight continues. For the moment, it's Bobby Rahal that is out in front as he continues a brilliant drive to protect his position in the championship points. But Michael Andretti is still very much there, and the battle does continue. 137 miles complete. Back at Pennsylvania International Raceway, the view down the backstretch as the fight this race by 2.3 seconds. A nice view just behind him. There is Paul Tracy, who, interestingly enough, is leading the Penske effort here today in the number 17 car. He runs in 7th place. Emerson Fittipaldi is behind him in 8th. Rick Mears runs in 11th. As we're going to let the entire field just roll right through the shot here, and it'll give you a good... Let's just imagine that you were seated here at one of Roger Penske's beautiful racetracks, watching the field come past. The leader of the race, Bobby Rahal, the Craco STP machine. Michael Andretti, of course, did clinch the bonus point for leading the most laps, and that gives him 16 bonus points for the year, compared with just 2 for Bobby Rahal. 16 points, remember, is the equivalent of finishing 2nd place in any given race. That shows you the significance, Derek, of the bonus points in this.
Well, that's right. Rahal really felt that he could have got the bonus point for the pole. He really thought he had a realistic chance, but had a bit of push on his 2nd lap, the one that he thought would be the quickest, and ended up starting in 3rd place. Rahal's been around the area for quite a bit of time this week, because he opened up his new Toyota dealership in Harrisburg last week. So now Rahal has a Toyota, a Honda, and a Lexus dealership.
Bobby Rahal runs at the front of the field. Then Michael, then Mario, A.J. Foyt coming in from some service from his team. By the way, Mike Groff has been hanging around there most of the weekend and is in the Foyt pits today. And this is not routine.
This is not routine. It's not a good sign when they don't put that fuel hose in. There's no urgency here. AJ, we see the seat belts appear over the side of the cockpit. His day is over.
Not only do we question the day, but now with AJ Foyt, you must wonder every time when he puts his hands down on the side pods, is this the last time that we will see AJ Foyt step from the cockpit of a race car after his incredible career with 67 IndyCar victories, 4 Indianapolis 500 wins. AJ has indicated an interest in racing Indianapolis next year, but only an interest. You see, he's frustrated with this run as the crew tries to calm him. Could this be the last time on the mile for this mile master? 33 mile wins in his career. He's only finished twice out of 8 races thus far this year, but let me tell you, you're looking at the best, the grand champion.
It was Jeff Andretti that got...
Well, yeah, he's all over the goddamn track. You don't know where in the hell he's going.
And it was suspension problem that...
Yeah, I kept from knocking him through the goddamn wall. I'm tired of this shit. Got people out there that shouldn't even be in the goddamn race car.
Well, you talk about emotion. There's the vintage A.J. Foyt, Paul.
Almost circa the confrontation at the start of the Indianapolis 500 with Kevin Kogan. But the emotion that A.J. feels so strongly there is also the emotion that carried him to championships. As A.J. Foyt climbs out of his race car. Bobby Rahal back at the front of the field. Michael Andretti still 2nd. Mario Andretti is 3rd. There is a lot more happening when a driver pits than meets the eye. Jan Bikus can now explain exactly what happens to the cars. This Track Fact is brought to you by Quaker State. The Big Q is one top motor oil. Now, here's Jan Bikus.
An IndyCar race is often won or lost here in the pits. It's not just how fast the crew changes the tires or fills it up with fuel. It's often that one minor adjustment made to the chassis that can make the difference. It takes about 14 seconds to fill this IndyCar up with the 40 gallons of methanol that it holds, but only 10 seconds to change the tires, leaving 4 seconds left over for the crew to make chassis adjustments. Now let's say the track got slippery and the car started to push. The front tires were sliding. A front tire changer could reach up here and make this wing adjustment, which would put more angle into the front wing, pushing the front wings down and curing those tires from sliding. Now at the back of the car, let's say the car was loose. The rear of the car was sliding around. We can make an adjustment back up here by flipping this tab up and changing what's called a wicker bill. This is a quick release system that was pioneered by the Penske organization, allowing you to slide in a thicker tab here, putting more downforce in the back of the car. Now, Derek Walker was a member of that Penske organization. He now owns this car that Willie T. Ribbs drives. This adjustment right here could save you 0.2 of a second per lap. But let's say it take you 2 seconds to make the adjustment. That could, in the 60-lap period between pit stops, add up to 12 seconds of savings on the racetrack.
It's tough enough to take you 250,000 miles. Tough enough to take you from Akron to...
Under the green flag, Rick Mears just completes a stop, Jan Vikas.
Rick Mears has been in and out, complaining that the car is very loose. Emerson Fittipaldi is experiencing the same problems. The Penske team is trying to think of anything. This is his 4th pit stop to try and cure that looseness, Paul.
As Rick Mears comes back up to speed, he, by the way, along with Willie T. Ribbs, will be having dinner with the vice president at Blair House in Washington tomorrow. You didn't get your invitation.
Excuse me, I didn't get my invitation, but I'd like to make a comment about Rick's handling condition. A loose race car is the worst handling condition you could have on a high-speed oval like we have today.
Running through the entire field at the conclusion of 150 laps. Now, we are on the 164th lap, as again, we can just sit and enjoy the entire field coming through. You see John Andretti with a very wide line, and Eddie Cheever trying to handle up Tony Bettenhausen. Fittipaldi running very wide as well. The car's out of the race on the first lap accident, caused, according to Scott Pruitt, when somebody slammed the brakes in front of him. Might have been Michael Andretti. And Scott Pruitt got sideways, and everyone else ran into Scott. That was right after the green flag. And then Willie T. Ribbs in an accident all by himself. Of course, he is still developing his skills on an oval, as is apparently, according to Mr. Foyt, Jeff Andretti. But, you know, the reality is...
Mr. Foyt, are you afraid of him?
You bet.
I'll tell you what, he's taught a few people some things over the years, but I learned some new words that I never heard in Ireland.
The situation, though, is that you have to learn the miles somewhere. You have the Indy Lights Series, which gives you an opportunity to do it, but still, is that anything like an IndyCar, Derek?
Well, it is nothing like an IndyCar. Now, remember also, you're racing with some of the top racing drivers in the world who don't have time for you to move out of their way sometimes. So, you know, they make room. They make room whatever way they can. But remember, this whole afternoon has been dominated by traffic. You have to read it carefully, properly, and safely. Sometimes that always doesn't happen.
You know, I can remember a Derek Daly just over from Formula One at Phoenix, Arizona. We were sitting in a tent together listening to other drivers, most notably, I believe, Kevin Kogan. And you talking about, you were saying, what's it going to be like on this mile?
European drivers and the European racing community in general have no idea really what oval track racing is all about. It is so fast and so exciting, but you have to experience it and see it on a regular basis to really appreciate it. I would love to see a good oval track run in Europe.
No contact at the front of the field. Bobby Rahal runs alone in the lead. Michael Andretti is second. Rahal trying to overhaul Arie Luyendyk right now, who is the 4th place car. You may have gotten a hint there of Rahal from time to time trying to gesture to Arie to, I think, get his attention, let him know where he is. They both come alongside Tony Bettenhausen. Arie Luyendyk, of course, would like to keep Rahal from coming around. The battle continues to be at the front of the field, and there is the Mears car back in the pits again. A long day for Rick.
Not a good day. Look, they're down looking at the back of that car. He still obviously has a loose condition. Now, what they do, that when they change tires, they will make adjustments to those tires, maybe a smaller amount of stagger on the rear, or change the tire pressures, which helps the car to push. It obviously was not enough.
Let's go down to Jan Vikas.
Paul, as we mentioned, he's having a severe loose condition. They are now actually changing the corner weights on the car. You can see him working on the front suspension. We're trying to get a look here right next to, oh, now they're actually changing the toe. I'm sorry, now I can get a better view at it. They're actually changing the toe angle. Maybe Derek can tell us a little bit more about what that does out on the racetrack.
When they change the toe, these cars basically run with the front wheels at a towed out angle. Now, if the car turns in too fast, which is what Rick has, they actually take away some of that toe. Now the front wheels will point straight ahead. The car does not turn in as fast, which actually helps that loose condition.
Now, Rick Mears still gets dinner tomorrow with the vice president. Fellow Hoosier Page doesn't. Yesterday, it was Michael's birthday. We had a little party for him here at the track, hoping to celebrate a championship today. At the front of the field with about a 10-second lead over Michael Andretti. Andretti is Bobby Rahal, looking for his second win of the season and an opportunity to stay in the battle for championship points and for what may be his third PPG Cup championship. At the moment, if the race were to end right now, Michael Andretti would have 214 points. Bobby Rahal, the leader of the race, would have 204. And so without question, the race resolves in Laguna Seca, California.
And Rahal cannot get past Ari Luyendyk. So Luyendyk has obviously got his car running extremely well, which must be because Michael Andretti is not catching Rahal, but Rahal cannot find a way past Luyendyk. Luyendyk has obviously turned the wick up a little bit.
There's 20 laps to go. Next time they flash across the start-finish line, average speed of the race coming up now to 129.7 miles an hour, not near the record of 148.5 miles an hour set by Danny Sullivan here in 1988. Twice championships have been wrapped up here at Nazareth before. Emerson Fittipaldi concluded his championship run here. And of course, last year Al Unser Jr., despite smacking the wall mid-race and badly damaging his car, and in fact a trip to the hospital, wrapped up his championship here. Well, if the race remains the way it is now, we have only a battle for the race itself. The championship will go on to the final race of the season at Laguna.
And Rahal is in control here. He cannot pass Luyendyk. That really is not his big concern. Remember, on the radio and also on his pit board, the only information he wants to know is where is Michael. And as long as Michael is still far behind, now he's only 8 seconds behind, Rahal still is not concerned about Luyendyk as long as he can control where Michael is.
So Bobby Rahal continues to run in the lead. Michael Andretti stays in second place. A sad note to report to you today. Last night at El Cajon Speedway in California, USAC midget driver Kara Hendrick was fatally injured. 22-year-old Hendrick had just set a new track record for full midgets. She was also a close personal friend of many IndyCar and ARS drivers. Bobby Rahal continues the lead. He stretched it out just a bit despite his battle with Ari Luyendyk. Now 14.2 seconds ahead of the second place Michael Andretti. And here comes Vitolo, who made a very quick turn into the pits. Quite a sudden and abrupt turn. As Vitolo rolls down the pit lane, the car appeared silent as he made that turn in.
And he's rolling, so we hope that he can actually clear that pit lane entrance and actually make it all the way to his pit. But I'm not sure he can get that far.
So Rahal, Michael, then Mario, then Ari Luyendyk, then Al Unser Jr., Eddie Cheever, and Paul Tracy.
And John Jones moves over to let Rahal get down the inside. John Jones having a bit of a lonely day here because remember, he does have the Buick engine. It's the normally the stock block Buick engine, which doesn't have the power of these other Chevrolets. So he's had a lonely day, but he is putting mileage under his belt.
Doesn't have the power given the balance that they have created here in kart racing. Indianapolis Motor Speedway, you're still looking at the Buick being a very powerful plant. And here is Bobby Rahal making the turn down toward the pit road. Rahal here in the closing laps of the race, what should be the last stop of the day. Michael Andretti has yet to stop. Jan Vikas waits for him.
Bobby Rahal brings it down. They have 12 gallons of fuel in the tank, but they only need to put 8 into Rahal's car. It won't take very much time. They went ahead. They took all 12 gallons of fuel, so they make sure they definitely have enough to the end. Now, is Michael going to have to stop?
Boy, it's great to see a race, though, where fuel is not the issue. As Rahal accelerates, look at him. He got around Vitolo, just what you were talking about, Derek Daly. Had to drop a wheel off. That could have been a very precarious situation as Rahal comes up and comes to the line just as fast as he can. Slides in behind Fittipaldi and Luyendyk. Fittipaldi moves to the inside, and Rahal comes back up to speed. Now Michael Andretti, the leader of the race. Mario Andretti second. Rahal dropped back into fourth place as a result of that stop. But of course, Michael will have to stop as well.
Well, a sudden turn of events here. Rahal makes the stop, gets a quick splash, then he has to go through that chicane that Dennis Vitolo has created on the warm-up lane, which is also the pit exit, but another unusual turn of events.
Let's get a further update on Rick Mears, Jan Vikas.
Rick on pole today, but a lot of problems.
You know, something like was going away in the rear suspension. We don't know yet until we get it back and pull it apart and take a look at it, but the car just got looser and looser all day long. You know, we'd make changes to try to take it out, and it'd be, you know, it'd help it for a little bit, and then it'd just go right back again, and each time it got worse. So there at the end, it just going so slow as in everybody's way, I felt like, and it was still loose. So we just...
Thanks.
Thank you.
Michael Andretti now pulls his car onto pit road as he makes his stop. What will happen relative to the rest of the lead of the race? Gary Gerald's there.
He needs and will get 3 gallons. He has the luxury of 3 extra laps. He's out quicker, 4.2 seconds for Michael Andretti. Can he get the lead from Rahal?
Mario Andretti, who was running behind him, comes into the pits as well. He accelerates on that special lane, comes onto the grass, jumps across around Vitolo's car. That should be a legal move, though, because of the blocking car.
My word, how did he get away with stuff like that? You can get the car so sideways. We saw him kick that grass up. Remember, he didn't know Dennis Vitolo was in that exit lane.
And that is just like turning across ice, isn't it?
He was lucky to get away with that. That was why he didn't try and pull the car back down to the warm-up lane of the pit exit. He just shot straight across onto the racetrack.
And here is the fight for the lead with the stops. Ari Leyendijk picks up the lead. Rahal is right behind him in second place. Michael slid into third place now with just 3 laps to go in the run.
Does Leyendijk have to make a pit stop? Suddenly he comes into the picture. He's only got 3 laps to go.
Ari Leyendijk looking for yet another win this season. Can he do it? Here is a car that has been troubled throughout the season in the Granatelli team, not with the financial support they would have liked. And Ari Leyendijk very suddenly moves from being a 3rd, 4th place car into being a definite contender, if not a potential winner in this race. Here's Gary Gerald.
And here's the gamble, Paul. Remember how pit stops work to their advantage at Phoenix on the mile? They're going for it. No stop plan for Leyendijk. And the emotion here is suddenly electric in the Leyendijk pit.
And they have no choice now. The white flag signifying 1 more lap to go has been shown to Ari Leyendijk. Just behind him is Rahal, running in second place. Michael Andretti is third, but Ari Leyendijk continues to pour on the power, and Ari Leyendijk takes the checkered flag in the final laps here at Nazareth. Pennsylvania International winner is Ari Leyendijk. Just that suddenly, with 2 stops, the Granatelli team takes the chance. Morris Nunn, Peter Parrott on that team did the calculations. The yellow flags most certainly figured into the situation, and Ari Leyendijk leads only 6 laps in this day. We mentioned he led earlier into the yellow. Look at Vince Granatelli. They can't believe it. Gary Gerald is right there.
Vince Granatelli, whose call was it to stay out, and how big a gamble was it?
Morris and I just, we had enough fuel. We just stayed with it. You know, we planned to race the whole way this way.
Terrific job. You did it at Phoenix. You come back and you get one unexpectedly to everybody here.
Well, we had our system last time. We finished 9th at one race, 5th the next, and we won it, and the same thing happened here.
Terrific job.
Thank you.
Paul?
Just 6 laps he leads in this race. That accounts to a little over 3 minutes of the race led by Ari Leyendijk. But the lap that mattered, the final, the 200th lap, and Ari Leyendijk takes the win. Ari Leyendijk has taken the win, just congratulated by Vince Granatelli, and Gary Gerald is right there.
Well, Ari Leyendijk has come out of here, and my, how dramatically this race changed in the final laps.
Yeah.
You've got to take your hat off to that crew. Mo Nunn, Vince Granatelli. It was a gutsy call.
Well, I'll tell you, I didn't think I was in such a good position. I knew we might catch up a position or 2 at the end with fuel, because we were very marginal on fuel, but we just made it, of course. And I really owe this one to the crew qualifying. We had a bit of a problem, and you know, the car was handling beautiful today, and Vince and the guys, Morris Nunn, everybody did a great job.
Well, you did such a terrific job of keeping it on the lead lap, because Rahal was creating the pressure right behind you, and had you lost that lap, there's no way then you could have ended up here.
Well, I knew that, and of course, as you saw, I didn't give him any room at all, and I didn't, you know, I kind of blocked him, but that's the name of the game.
And of course, that didn't help the fuel situation, having to run that hard and use up more fuel.
Well, I didn't really run any harder. I just ran more defensive, I think. And in traffic, I picked my way through, which I think was very important. The first car to get through the traffic can usually, ahead of time, make a little bit of a planning, and I think that's where Rahal sometimes lost out.
Career win number 3, number 2 on the year. A lot of satisfaction for Ari Leyendijk. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Jan Beekes?
Bobby Rahal, you had the whole thing handled, and then in the end, he didn't have to make a pit stop. Did you think he had it won?
Well, yeah, I was surprised. I don't know how he made it. I don't know how he made it, frankly, but he did. We beat Michael, so I guess that's a big thing.
Well, you still have Laguna Seca.
Well, yeah, we're still in it. We had a good race. I don't know how he did it. You know, I thought I was lapping him there for a while, but in fact, he carved me up pretty badly on a number of occasions to keep me from lapping him. And, you know, just, I didn't know that it's amazing he got great fuel mileage. Much better than us or Mario or Michael.
Thanks, Bobby. Let's go to Gary Gerould.
And Michael Andretti is out of his car, and the important thing for you, of course, is the championship. And I guess the net of all of this drama with Lyondike and Victory Lane, you lose only 1 point. And by leading the most laps, you're going to have a 12-point lead going to Laguna Seca.
I'll tell you what, I got to thank Ari for that. You know, I'm glad their strategy paid off, and I think this was almost like a win for us, the way the day went, and, you know, I'm very happy.
Competing here, we've talked about the emotion of the hometown and how badly you want this championship. Is there disappointment because you couldn't get the win in front of the hometown folks today?
Well, you're always disappointed when you don't win, and, you know, it would have been nice to sew it up here, but it's going to be a dogfight next week. You know, I think now all we got to do is finish the race in Laguna, and we'll be all right.
And you've got a week to think about that whole scenario and set it up, and maybe that lifelong dream is just right around the corner.
It's going to be a long, long week.
Well, we wish you well in how you deal with it all, and we'll, of course, talk to you at Laguna Seca.
Thanks, Gar.
Congratulations, Michael. Paul?
I'll tell you how long it's going to be, Michael. It's going to seem like 2 weeks because you're not going to race there until 2 weeks from now on the 20th, Sunday the 20th of October. And of course, we will have coverage not only of that event here on ESPN that will decide the championship, but also the Marlboro Challenge on Saturday the 19th. And remembering that Bobby Rahal, 4 straight years in a row from 84 through 87, won at Laguna Seca. Michael Andretti has never won there. The championship fight is still very much alive. 3 times Arie Luyendyk has won in his IndyCar career. This European-trained driver, always on ovals, Phoenix, Nazareth, and of course the Indianapolis 500-mile race. And Arie Luyendyk wins here at Pennsylvania International Raceway. Let's consider this championship looking ahead to the run in Laguna Seca, California. If Rahal would win at Laguna, Michael will need only to finish 6th or better to wrap up his first IndyCar title. That computation is done without including the bonus points. A critical moment, Derek Daly, was when Michael came running out of the pits. He really took a chance.
And this pit lane is very narrow. It's a long, long left-handed turn. And Michael, remember, at that stage was trying to beat Rahal. He's the only one he thought about. But what he doesn't realize is around the corner here, Dennis Vitolo is stopped. So, boom, he takes to the grass and realizes he can't get back on the racetrack there, so just drives straight across. And remember, it's Rahal he's trying to beat, but to his surprise and amazement and our shock, it was Luyendyk who pulled the gamble off and it paid off.
I think even more shocked than Michael, stunned is the word for that man, Bobby Rahal, who is really surprised at the mileage that Luyendyk got. Perhaps we can get an update on that situation now from Jan Vikas.
Well, that's right, Paul. When we talked to Bobby, he said, how could he possibly make it? We're here at the fuel tank that Arie Luyendyk used to make the difference. Let's think about it for a sec. They give you fuel here for a 1-mile track. But when you check the computers of the cars, it works out to be 0.93 of a mile. That's a 7% difference. That works out to be about 8 gallons here in this fuel tank. If we look closely, there's about 15 gallons left here. They played that strategy. It gave them the victory. Now, Gary Gerould is standing by with Mario Andretti.
Mario ends up in the number 5 spot. How costly in your mind was having to make that last dash to the pits for the splash, Mario?
Well, it was costly, you know, obviously. I was running 3rd at the time, and yeah, you know, it pushed me back. I lost it in the pits because of that stop.
So much has been said about Michael's bid for the championship and his emotion in his hometown, watching you as a youngster and now on the threshold of his first championship. But I know that that competitive fire still burns very, very bright inside Mario Andretti. You, I'm sure, thought this was a terrific opportunity to steal one and win this race today.
Yeah, especially the way it was done, you know, like, you know, with Luyendyk winning, you know, he didn't figure in. He was not that quick, not that competitive, but he played the cards right, and obviously it worked for him. But again, you know, I would have loved to be able to win it here. But I think the important thing right now is Michael's championship, and he fought very hard today. Our cars were really quite good you know, I don't think I could have asked for too much better. It's just the way it went. Probably used up a little bit too much fuel in the second stint.
Well, Mario, we congratulate you on a gallant effort. I know it's going to break through, and it's going to happen sometime soon. We wish you continued success.
Thank you.
Well, there's another Andretti who fared well today, and Jan Beekes is alongside.